Everybody, it's Dr. Rick Balkhamer. We're back for another edition of Thyroid Thursday. And today I'm going to talk about how GI stress can create changes in your thyroid physiology. I think most people understand at this point who are coming to videos like mine who are struggling with what I call chronic hypothyroid symptoms or are stuck in what we call thyroid purgatory. You got diagnosed, you feel better on some type of thyroid medication, but you don't feel like you're back to normal, regardless of whether you're taking T4 only, Armour, NP thyroid, T3, and T4, T3 only. You feel better than you did without thyroid medication, but you don't feel well. That's what I call thyroid purgatory. If you're there, and you're stuck there, we want to talk about how your gut stress, GI stress, may be causing you to have chronic hypothyroid signs and symptoms, why your thyroid medication doesn't restore you. The other thing we want to talk about is what's going on. Is it broken physiology that needs to be medicated for the rest of your life? Or is this adaptive changes in your physiology that can be addressed, oftentimes resulting in feeling better on your thyroid medication, converting T4 to T3 better, having less thyroiditis, and for many people needing less and less, and for some people no medication in time. It's my belief that the vast majority of people who get diagnosed with hypothyroidism have an adaptive change in their thyroid physiology, not an immune system out of control, not a body that forgot how to convert T4 to T3, and it's the constant focus on trying to manipulate a lab value that your physician cares about that probably contributes to more chronic ongoing thyroid dissatisfaction than if we just address the root issues. So here we go. GI stress, and you can have stress in your GI tract whether you realize it or not. But we have a whole bunch of bacteria that live in the GI tract. You have bacteria, you got some little parasites, you've got some yeast, you got all kinds of fun stuff that lives in the GI tract, and it's supposed to be there. And when it's balanced and in appropriate ratios, the microbiome's happy. It does a lot of good things for us. But when we have life stress, food, alcohol, toxins, medications, disrupted sleep patterns, excessive exercise, that those things can start to alter the microbiome. We call this dysbiosis. And we have imbalances of the microbiome. This can create challenges, create problems. It can trigger inflammation within and outside the GI tract. It can result in the breakdown of the GI barrier, something we call leaky gut syndrome. And when we have this leaky gut syndrome, it's this leaky gut syndrome that can result in food crossing the barrier, organisms, toxins that cross the barrier, and other things that trigger immune and inflammatory activation in the body overall. So we have this leaky gut issue going on. We can get particulate from damaged cells and tissues within the GI tract, from organisms in the GI tract. This particulate matter, if it's from organism, we call it a PAMP, pathogen-associated molecular peptides. If it's from our own tissue, we call it DAMPs, damage-associated molecular peptides. These things leak into the lymph and into the bloodstream, and these are the things that activate the immune system. The immune system becomes activated, the immune system releases inflammatory molecules, and it's these inflammatory molecules that essentially don't make us feel good, okay? So how does this process affect thyroid hormone? When you have these inflammatory molecules being released into your body, that activates the stress cell danger response. Your body's saying, whoa, there's a threat, there's a danger. It's like the fire alarm going off, or the fire siren going off. Your body goes, in our homes, we'd be like, oh my gosh, there's something going on. In the body, when there's inflammatory chemicals being released, the cells sense danger, and what they do when they sense danger is they stiffen their cell membrane, they decrease transport of nutrition into the cell, kind of slow down the metabolism of the cell and kind of hide, just like we would do. Oh my gosh, there's an active shooter. I'm going to lock my doors and windows. I'm going to hide inside until the threat's cleared. Part of what happens when we have this cell stress response going on is some cells that are, and tissues and systems that are really important to survival are going to get upregulated. Some of those systems are going to have increased conversion of T4 to T3. So we may have some hyperthyroid type symptoms. Brain is one of those systems that's going to be upregulated. We get more edgy, we get more anxious, we get more irritable, we have more insomnia. Other systems that are less important to the survival mechanisms are going to get downregulated. So GI tract gets downregulated, hormone regulation gets downregulated, detoxification gets downregulated, sleep gets downregulated. So we can wind up seeing a change at the cellular level with our thyroid physiology. Reduced T4 and T3 conversion in some tissues, increased T4 to T3 conversion in other tissues. In general, there's a net decrease of T4 to T3 when we look at the blood. The other thing that can happen is this cell stress, dysbiosis, inflammation can trigger thyroiditis. That's the inflammatory damage to the gland. Now, if you went to a traditional medical physician, they would say you have hypothyroidism, glandular hypothyroidism, or primary hypothyroidism. You may not ever get an explanation of why it occurred, and you're just going to get put on thyroid medication because the assumption is that your gland can't make thyroid hormone anymore. But their job really isn't to identify why and address the why. Their job is to say, hey, this is bad enough now that your thyroid gland's been damaged so much that it can't make enough T4. We're going to give you T4. And the way we know we gave you enough T4 is to monitor your TSH. Not a great system, but that works in that model. But in a functional medicine model, we often understand that the primary cause of primary hypothyroidism is thyroiditis, immune-driven damage to the gland. Now, why would the immune system damage the gland? Some people say the immune system's out of control and just goes into your gland and starts destroying the tissue. That results in decreased thyroid hormone release, and you have hypothyroidism. I don't think that's the case for the vast majority of people. What I think primarily happens, and where the gut plays a role here, is that when there's GI stress, we have dysbiosis and inflammation and leaky gut, PAMPs and DAMPs, damage-associated molecular peptides from the gut, pathogen-associated molecular peptides from organisms from the gut, can leak into the lymph and into the bloodstream, and that can activate the immune system. It can activate the immune system in the body proper to say, hey, there's problems in the GI tract, and so now the immune system's going to rush to the GI tract and start trying to address the problem. The other thing is that these DAMPs and PAMPs can bind too, and this does not get talked about. I'm probably one of the few people that talks about this, but these DAMPs and PAMPs can actually bind to receptors on your thyroid cells, and it's the binding of these damage-associated molecular peptides and these PAMPs, these pathogen-associated molecular peptides, that actually trigger thyroiditis and cause the gland to start to become damaged, cause sometimes reduced release of thyroid hormone. Many times it's initially higher levels of thyroid hormone dumped into the system, and then over time you get these ebbs and flows of highs and lows, but it ultimately results in glandular damage to a point where now you have what we call primary hypothyroidism. Your TSH is high, your T4 is low. And this is a second mechanism by which the gut stress can trigger problems with thyroid physiology. Now the question is this broken physiology? Do you need T4 and T3 and Armour and NP thyroid for the rest of your life? Maybe not. If you get diagnosed with hypothyroidism, one of the places you should probably look is the GI tract. About 70% of the immune system surrounds the GI tract. And so if there's problems in the GI tract and this mechanism is going on, you're going to have thyroiditis. Now, how do you stop the damage to the immune system? You address the GI stress. What happens if we just give you T4? If we just give you T4 medication to replace what the thyroid gland can't make, is there any chance your thyroid gland's ever going to recover? No. Does it change the GI stress and dysbiosis and inflammation and leaky gut? No. So not only will you never recover your thyroid gland, but the other thing is you're probably going to have more immune inflammatory problems going on, and you'll probably wind up with reduced T4 to T3 conversion in a lot of the cells and tissues and feel more hypothyroid, even with thyroid medication. And as your doctor tries to increase your T4 medication to make you feel better, you may wind up making your hyperthyroid symptoms a bit worse. If we just give you thyroid medication and we say, oh, you don't use that, you can't convert that thyroid medication well because your T3 is low and your reverse T3 is high, and we just give you T3 medication, does that fix the problem? No, we're still giving you T4, and now we're giving you T3. So did we fix what's creating the problem? No. And now we're giving you a bunch of thyroid medication. We're trying to force more thyroid medication into a system that's adaptively changing how much thyroid hormone's in the system. It's probably not going to work out well for you. If it does, that you take T4 and T3 and you feel back to normal, that's great. But if you don't feel well on T4 only, on T4 and T3, on NP thyroid or Armour, and you can't find the appropriate dose, there's a good chance that you're managing the lab values and managing the blood value, not addressing the GI stress. Your thyroid physiology was never broken to begin with. Your immune system was never out of control to begin with. It was reacting and responding adaptively to the stress in your GI tract. And the way to improve your health, improve your conversion of T4 to T3, to calm the immune system down and potentially recover your thyroid gland, is not about how much thyroid hormone you need to dump into the system to optimize a lab value. The solution is address the stress that caused it to begin with. Hope this helps.